You know, I was sitting in the shade the other day and I was having a beer while the children played. They were laughing and splashing in the sun. When the love of my life came up to me, she said, "Hey, Grandad, can I sit in your knee?" I said, "Sure, sweetheart. What do you know?" She said, "Hey, Grandad, you've been around a long while." I must admit that made me smile. I said, "Sure, sweetheart. I've been around a year or three." But she looked at me sort of seriously, this little slip of a girl sitting on my knee. She said, "Tell me, Grandad, what's a pommy?" Well, I was taken back. I was taken by surprise. I nearly dropped me beer, and then I realised that she was serious. Yeah, she wanted to know. I took a sip of my drink, and then I started to think, and my thoughts went back a long, long time ago, and I said, "Sure, sweetheart, I'll tell you what I know." Well, the very first pommy that I ever met was a Tommy. Now, a Tommy is what they call an English soldier. Well, we were two young fellas in a foreign land. We were fighting a war in a sea of sand and sort of having a go at each other all the time. Well, he'd laugh and ask to see my convict chains, and I'd threaten to scramble his pommy brains, and we'd argue the toss all night about whose beer was best. But when the cannons roared, we stood side by side, just like our fathers did in days gone by, and we showed the world that, well, we stood as one. And when at last that war was done and it was time for me to come back home, back to this sunburned land that I love so much, well, I had to say goodbye to that pommy bee before I sailed off home across the sea, so I trudged the desert sands to say farewell. You see, the end of the war had come too late, so I took a flower to me pommy mate and I placed it on the cross that bore his name. And you know, I really missed that pommy bee. Yeah, I kind of missed that pommy bee. Well, then, of course, there's always the whinging Pop. Well, he'll moan and groan and go on and on. He reckons nothing here is as good as it is back home. You know, but for every one that you find like that, well, there's 1,000 more to whom I'd lift me hat. And, well, I'm glad they make this land their home. Oh, you'll get others, they'll say I'm wrong. They'll say there's no such thing as a decent pom, but, well, don't go listen to them, love, because, well, they're just fools. You see, without the Poms, we wouldn't be here. They settled this land and they're still coming here. And, well, as long as I don't have to drink their beer, they're welcome. But when the cricket's on, well, that's a different thing. I mean, we've got to kill the Poms. We've got to win. There's no holds barred on either side. And you know, the Poms wouldn't have it any other way. Well, they'd rather beat the Aussies any day, or anyone else they care to play. Well, when the game is over and the fuss has died down, well, you see all the fellas all standing around, sharing a beer, the best of mates. And now I'll tell you something that's quite a joke that me first pommy mate would appreciate if only he could be here to share this beer. You see, when after all is said and done, why, he'd laugh like hell if he knew my son had married an English girl that had given us you. So here you are, sitting on my knee, just asking that question so seriously. So I'll tell you what a pommy is, darling. A pommy is you.